Hey everyone, what's up? Yeah, I tried to do this earlier today on my way to work, but I figure, you know what? Got the place to myself for right now, and pretty much figured. Sorry about that. um, Thought I'd give you my non-spoiler review of the movie Pixels. Now, I know a lot of people have probably read some of the critical reviews on it so far, because they've seen the special screenings and stuff, and some people feel as though it's not one of the best movies Adam Sandler has done. And I think, in a sense, it all depends on how you view it. I think it all depends on how you view it. You know, yes, it's a Happy Gilmore film. There's nothing you can do about this. So you're gonna have some moments in there, but honestly, it really wasn't much. I mean, a majority of the film, as my mom saw, as my mom said, was actually decent. It was a clean film. I mean, yes, like I said, it had some moments in there, not but very few, if any. There was a moment where they were having this little celebration party they thought they were going to be able to have, which they did at the White House, and and basically one of the main characters is doing a karaoke of I'm trying to think what the song is. The song is "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," and basically he gets to a point that he ends up kind of going all the way to the ground and almost humping it a little bit, but that's about it. So that's about it. But overall, it's really not bad. To be honest with you, I mean, if you take a look at Pixels, to me, it's more of a love letter and a thank you for all the memories these games have given us. And it's not just Atari games that are in on this. It's not just things like Space Invaders and Galaga and Pac-Man and all that. No, you got a lot of video games. Whether it's towards the end and where they make appearances or they don't, you got a lot of games that for someone like me, you grew up on. I remember we had an Atari and we had some of these games. I know we had Space Invaders. I know we had Galaga. I know that. So, and I'm sure we had we had that version of Pac-Man that did the video game crash, or one of the video game crashes, if you will. But yeah, we had these games. So it was to see something like this was really cool. It was really nice. Now, I'll be honest, I was unsure about it myself because of the critical reviews. But once I saw it, I was like, I like it. This is good. Like I said, it's a love letter. It's a thank you it's a love letter for the memory. It's a love letter to our past. It's a thank you for all the great memories. It's a love letter to Nintendo. It's a love letter to Atari. It's a love letter to Namco and anybody in between. It's a love letter to these games, from Space Invaders to Galaga to Pac-Man. Even the Smurfs had a cameo in it. Qbert, Mario Brothers, Paperboy. List goes on. I think even Icebreakers. And some other game where I had this big old robot. But you had all this as thank you. It's basically a thank you to all of this. It was really, really something. It really was. And overall, it was a very fun, enjoyable movie. A movie you could actually take your kids to go see. You don't have to be afraid that, oh, it's Happy Gilmore and all that, and it's going to be a little raunchy. No. It's good. It's really, really good. And the story actually makes sense in a way. It makes sense in a way. I mean, you have these Okay, basically what happens, and I'm not going to give much away, but basically at the beginning we get a flashback to 1982. And it's during this time where you have the main characters that are going to be involved in the movie, basically the main characters from the Adam Sandler character, the Kevin James character, and I can't think of the other two actors' names. But you have them involved to the point that you basically have them involved to the point that, you know, Adam Sandler's character as a kid ends up getting to a world championship, and at this world championship we find out that the footage that they're going to record onto a VHS with this is going to be sent in a probe up to outer space to possibly be archived, or at least see if there's any other intelligent life out there. Well, fast forward about 13 years later. Well, not 13. What am I saying? I'm sorry about that. Fast forward about, trying to think, 33 years later, and apparently the message got misinterpreted. And this alien force obviously takes images of whatever images they can get, obviously, and recreates them, but to fight for them. And that's where the whole pixel thing comes into play. Now, it's really interesting, basically how things work here. Now, is it a little violent at times? Yes, it is. But here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy. From what I can interpretate with this movie, even if people get killed off, real life people get, like, there's a scene in the movie where one of the soldiers gets basically eaten, or just, you know, chopped in half by I think it's one of the Centipede characters. And that's another one that this movie's a love letter and a thank you to. By a centipede from Centipede. So basically he's broken in half. And he's broken and basically when he's chopped into these little pixels. So, and you think, okay, that guy's dead, right? No, not really. Basically, this movie kind of shows what happens to those that get pixelated by the aliens. So, there's nothing really to worry about with them. It is real interesting to see, well, a lot of the characters back from, you know, when they were showcased as kids, a lot of the main characters where they end up as 33 years later. You know, you have Adam Sandler's character as a cable repair installer, kind of like basically an electrician, an installer, a person that installs TVs, cable, whatever, video games. And you have the Kevin James character who is the president. And then you have the other character, again, I can't think of the actor's name. It's on the tip of my tongue, I can't think of it right now. I think it's the guy that voices Olaf. That's who it is. I think it's Joseph something, like Joseph Gordon, I can't think of his name. And he basically still ends up living with his grandmother, which is surprising. Still has and his character is really unique. Well, kind of really funny in a sense. And then you have this other character who is a play, I guess an homage or a play to Bruce Mitchell, the Donkey Kong champion. And you have him in jail. So, yeah, unique quartet, if you know what I'm saying. Or foursome. So, basically, that's where they all are in their lives 33 years later. Now, about that Now the characters are unique in a sense that they still can play the games that they can master. You know, like you know, Adam Sandler's character is the Gallagher champion. It's the champion of Gallagher and a few other games. Kevin James' character is master at crane games. You know, the where you get the prizes. The other character, I can't think of his name. Again, the actor, I can't think of his name. I know he plays Olaf. His character is good at games too, but you know, not as good as Adam Sandler's character. And the Bruce Mitchell character, the fire starter, if you will, as he calls himself, he's good at all games as well. But he's got a little secret. Of how he does it. I'm not going to say what it is, for anybody that hasn't seen the movie yet. But yeah, it's really cool. And there is a love interest for Adam Sandler in the movie. She's basically a lieutenant. She's a lieutenant for the military, basically for the Pentagon. And the way she and the Adam Sandler character get together, I like it because basically they do something that you don't really see, even in a Happy Gilmore sometimes. They build the relationship. They build it. So I don't want to give much away, but you'll see how it all comes to be. Overall, it's really good. I mean, I don't want to give much away, but it's really, really good. I like the fact that it's a movie that even though it's Happy Gilmore, you could take your kids to see this, and if they have questions, you just tell them, well, these are the games, kids, that I grew up on. These are the games the way I remember them. This is what and even if they say, well, why did they? And if they ask, well, why don't they use the characters that we know of? Because in the movie, they do have a young character. I think he's about 10, 12, 13 years old character. And he plays the more games that, really you shouldn't let your kids play. And even Adam Sandler's character is like, isn't this a little too violent for you? Because, he does mention that in the scene. But I'm sure you're going to have kids going like, well, why don't they use the Halo characters? Why don't they use the COD characters? Why don't they use this and that? And if you take your kids to see this and they ask you those questions, just explain to them that this is like I said here, a love letter, a thank you for from our generation to these companies and to these games. That's what this is. So, overall, definitely check this movie out. I really highly recommend you do. Don't listen to the critics or anything, because this, to me, is a great love letter and thank you for all the memories we got from these games. I remember having the Atari, playing some of these games with my sisters. I really remember, I truly do. And like I said, the characters are all unique. Now, the one character, again, he's kind of more nerdish than the other three. Now, some might look at his character and say, they're mocking, they might look at his character and go like, they're mocking a lot of us with this guy's character. They're making him more nerdish than anything. Well, here's the thing about this guy's character. Again, I can't think of his name. It's Gordon or something. I know the actor's, part of his name is Gordon. Or Corbin, or something like that. And the way he's just more of a conspiracist. He's kind of a little bipolar, if you will. He's kind of like, there's moments where he'll be like a little silent, a little nervous, and then when someone starts speaking on his behalf, on both of their behalves, like, Adam and him have a scene where they're going to talk to the Navy SEALs and motivate them about what's going on, explain to them what's going on. Adam's starting to talk a little bit, and then this guy comes and starts speaking up like he's a big tough guy. He gets right yelling and right in the face and all that. So he's kind of like a little bipolar, kind of personality disorder, something like that. We don't really know. But he's kind of like, at first he's shy, and then all of a sudden he just speaks up and just really, becomes what he wants to be, a man. And basically, you know, people might look at his character, and I think this might be where some of the criticism comes in. And they look by looking at a character like his being more nerdish than the other three, and they might be like, that character's a mockery. They're mocking, you know, nerds. They're making this guy. They're making us look bad. They're making nerds and people that are like that look bad. Because one of the things about this character is he has a crush on a video game, on a main female video game character from 1982 to present day. So, and he even had, even to present day, he has posters and pictures of her somewhat in his room, along with all these other things. Because, like I say, he's kind of a conspiracy guy. It's like he basically knows the truth about this, the real truth about this, and that, and this, and that. You know, so he's a funny character, but I'm pretty sure part of the criticism comes from his character maybe being a mockery of what other people are like, what other real nerds are like, and all that. And he's not. He's not a mockery. It's just an interpretation. In other words, it's like, look, it's okay to be this way, and people could still be your friends. People could still accept you for the way you are. So that's the way I look at his character. Like, he's somebody that you might not really want to associate with much with, but in the end, you accept and realize, you know what? He's fine. He's just being him. This is what his life is. This is how he wants to live. That's fine. This is just who he is. But overall, it's really a good movie. And I know some people might say otherwise. Like maybe I'm sure Angry Joe, when he does a review on it, is probably going to give his own piece. I'm sure Andre's going to give his own piece, a Black Nerd Comedy. I'm sure James Wolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, is going to give his own piece on it as well. So overall, again, though, and I'm sure Doug Walker is going to do it along with his brother, is going to give their own say on it. So overall, though, decent movie. Highly recommend you go and see it with your family. And that's really all I have to say. And the ending, you will get a crack at the ending. So that's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out.